everyone. Today I will be reviewing Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. The first film in Zack Snyder's new planned Rebel Moon series. Part 1 of what was supposed to be the whole first film. This just released on Netflix last week. I checked it out today, and I'm very excited to talk about it. So this will be a non-spoiler review, so if you've not seen the movie yet, feel free to watch this video, hear my thoughts, and then decide if you want to see the movie afterwards. But without further ado, let's get into things. On to some of the negatives. First off, this movie's writing is kind of weak, and as well as its characters. I'd say there's no character who is very, strong with their reasonings or their likability. No character who has a decent backstory or, build-up is really that likable, and no character that's really that likable has a ton of backstory or build-up or, motives. And, the writing and dialogue are just kind of, okay. They're there, they're fine, but they're nothing too special at all. And the whole movie, it feels simultaneously like they could have made Part 1 and Part 2 into one singular movie. But at the other hand, Part 1, while it feels so lacking in content, it could have been in Part 2, one movie. On the other hand, it feels like there's so many characters introduced in this movie who get no time for backstory or character development, then it feels like, how is this somehow Part 1 of a movie, but it also barely builds up the characters it's setting up, especially a lot of the people. I mean, the whole middle hour of the movie is just find someone, they do something cool, they get recruited. Find someone, they do something cool, they get recruited. And it's just kind of repetitive, and none of these characters stand out or are very interesting. If they died off screen between this movie and the next one, I wouldn't really care that much. Heck, they could have died at the end of this one, I probably wouldn't have noticed. And they got some decent enough cool scenes, but it's just kind of generic and not too interesting. So the overall plot structure of the movie, being a Part 1, having okay writing and character development does not help it at all. That being said, there are some things I do like about this movie. The world building is pretty cool. I especially like the first 20 minutes or so. There is some weird stuff in it. But the way they set up the galaxy, the wars, this village, I thought it all pretty interesting. I like the visuals of the planets and the ships and the armies and stuff. I thought that was all pretty cool and made the movie more interesting and more fun. Decent enough action, nothing too great, but nothing that bored me. I was building a Lego set the entire time I was building this movie, so maybe that made me enjoy it a little bit more. But I don't know, I thought it was fun enough. Anthony Hopkins as Jimmy the robot is pretty cool. I like his scenes and moments. Those are actually pretty well written. I like Ed Skrein, the villain. Not a ton of motivation, but he kind of he does a really good job playing a villain that you kind of hate, and it makes for some fun moments, so he's pretty solid in this. And also, I just kind of enjoyed the score. It sounded a lot like it's Junkie XL. It sounded a lot like his Zack Snyder's Justice League score, but it was still kind of cool, made for some epic moments. And while this plot was predictable, it led to a decent enough cool finale. And the visual effects are pretty consistently really well done. And it's just kind of cool to see big spaceships that look realistic and don't look unbelievably CGI being taken down in cool action sequences. That's always fun. And there's a decent amount of hand-to-hand combat, too, which is pretty interesting. So it's a movie where it's definitely kind of mad with the writing and the characters and the overall plot structure. The individual scenes and moments that make it up are pretty fun. I think the world is neat. I hope we get more building. So it's a good enough setup movie. I hope in the next film we get more character development, more satisfying action, more look at the world. But as kind of a setup intro to the world of Rebel Moon, it's decent enough, and it has me interested in the sequel. That being said, it is kind of weird that we're getting a much longer director's cut of this movie. Hopefully that makes things better, because it's kind of frustrating why they wouldn't just release the director's cut, which is apparently a lot better and more in-depth. Maybe that'll fix some of my complaints, but we'll see. But for now, I'd give Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, a 6.5 out of 10. I hope you guys liked the video. Coming soon, Poor Things and the Boy and the Heron. Hope you guys liked the video. See you all soon. Bye for now.